your body, your vessel that gets you through life. Welcome to the Hopefulist with me, Wendy McClure. This is where we turn those nasty, negative thoughts into positive and work toward a happy, fulfilled life. Now, let's get started. Hello, and thank you for joining me. I did decide to take the week off last week, and I was doing some thinking. I have been mulling over the direction that I would like for this podcast and this brand to go. This past election had me very involved, and there's some barriers that I think for women that need to be broken down. And it's not just when it comes to politics, it comes to the ideas that we have going through life. So I wanted to focus a little bit on uncovering your limiting beliefs. If you're not familiar with that term, these are the beliefs that have been instilled in us, likely since we've been children. These ideals that women are expected to live up to, how we interact with people, how we conduct ourselves in public, how we conduct ourselves not in public, how we need to look, and how we need to behave. These limiting beliefs typically get set in us as children. And if we don't work hard to uncover them and combat them, they will likely hold us back from the life that we truly deserve and stop us from becoming the best version of ourselves. So that is one of the things that I wanted to focus on a little bit more when it comes to this podcast. And I wanted to start out by saying that you matter. What you want, dream, and desire matters. It matters. And I am talking to you. You are worthy and capable of anything that you desire. And I think that limiting beliefs is one thing that gives us the idea that why should I be able to have whatever I want? We get these ideas put into our head that we're supposed to, grow up, go to school, be a good girl, get a job, maybe go to college, get a job, but ideally, I think in society, and this is starting to change, and I will get more into this at another time, but for the longest time, a woman's purpose in this world, country, what have you, was to meet a man, to get picked, and to go on to have a family, to be a mother and a wife that takes care of her family. And that is no longer the purpose of a woman. A woman's purpose now is to do what will make her happy, what will make her feel satisfied. And we are absolutely entitled to do that. As the generations move along, I think more and more women are realizing they don't have to just go along with the norms that society has been dictating to us for the longest time. And this goes so deep. It goes to how women are supposed to look. We're supposed to be attractive. We're supposed to be thin. We're supposed to have our hair done and our nails done and our makeup done. And we're supposed to look flawless. We can't have any hair on our body. There's all of these ideals that have been in place for so long, these beauty ideals that we get caught up in them so early in our life, and they become what dictates our life. To be thin, to be pretty, to be picked. Because that is, in essence, how women got taken care of. Let's go all the way back. Why do women change their name? Women are born and they take the name of their father. And way back, families used to pay men to marry their daughters, right? Name of that is escaping me right now, but they would get stuff. And then when the woman would marry, she would change her name because she then went from being property of her father to property of her husband. And that's why the name changed, because ownership changed. And then we got to a time where women actually got to pick who they wanted to marry. But in essence, it still was you need to look this way, behave this way, and be this way in order for someone to pick you. Because women still had very little rights, they needed somebody to take care of them. And so they would do all of these things to make them the most attractive so they could attract a man that would give them the life that they were in search of. Right? So, all of these things are so embedded so deep inside us that we don't even realize how we've been operating for all of these years. And I start with talking about all of this to say that we get to pick, that we are in a point in our lives, at a point in this country where we are allowed to choose. We can choose what we want for our life and in our life. And we need to stop focusing on societal norms, societal demands of how we should be. All of this big introduction to talk about the fact that I have finally come to a decision that I am not going to diet any longer. And I can tell you this. I am scared to death. But I have had a war inside myself since I was 12 years old. Every single day was about my weight. Every single day is about me getting on the scale, and depending on what that says, whether I feel good or bad about myself. And this is the quote of the day. You don't exist solely to lose weight and be pretty. And that right there is it. That is what I have existed for the last 40 years. I have existed in my own mind to lose weight constantly. And I have had times in my life when I was extraordinarily thin. Too thin, probably. And even then, I wasn't satisfied. Even then, I thought, well, if I could just lose a few more pounds, or if I could just tone this up, or I was never going to be satisfied. And yet, I would do anything to be back there now. It's like, okay, what was wrong with me? I remember one of the radio stations that I was working at. I always talked about how I just wanted to lose a few pounds, this, that. My boss actually came to me one time and he's like, Wendy, you have got to stop saying that, because The listeners hear you. And then when they see a picture of you, they get mad because they're like, okay, shut up. Like, we've all been there. We've all heard of the person or watched the person who's like super ridiculously thin. And, you know, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so fat, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, oh, shut up. That's what my boss was saying, that people were feeling about me. And rightly so. But I truly did feel like I could have lost more weight. Like I didn't look the best that I could. I wasn't trying to be, you know, annoying about it. I was being honest. And I know how that comes across because I've been there on the other side as well. So I have started this quest to give up dieting. I don't want to do it anymore. It's like a literal war inside of me. And I just can't do it anymore. But I'm very afraid of putting on even more weight. Because, you know, I'm up about 20 pounds more than I would like to be. I don't think that I'm fat. Which, again, by the way, is just another way to bring women down. And, you know, that's not solely on women. But it seems that a lot more women are called fat than men, just because they know how much that hurts. They know that is the way to bring you down. And the way that you combat that is to just embrace it. You know, the next time somebody's trying to be mean to you on social media or something and makes a comment about your weight or calls you fat, just say, yeah, okay. So I'm fat. Why do you care? Okay, so I'm fat. Good thing I'm not here to please you. It's none of their business. I'm not going to sit here and take it anymore. And speaking of which, I put a post up a few days ago about this new way that I'm wearing my hair. You know, it's like I'm wearing it like that right now. It's like a ponytail on the top of my head. My hair is a little bit longer than it had been, but it's kind of poofy. It's almost like a little longer than a Pebbles poof would be. And it's kind of, you know, I kind of dig it. It's kind of fun and, you know, festive. But I had questioned at one point, am I too old to be wearing a hairstyle like this? And if you didn't get a chance to see the post, scroll back through my Facebook or my Instagram feed, because it's just a couple of posts ago. And, you know, the essence of the post was, it doesn't matter if some people feel that this hairstyle is too young for me to be wearing at my age. It's what makes me feel good. It's what I like. It's what I think is cute and acceptable. And trust me, I have fixed my hair in plenty of ways when I've looked in the mirror and gone, that is not it. So I think I'm fairly good at knowing what looks good on me and what doesn't, or what I like on me is probably the better way to say it, and what I don't. And I happen to like this. So, and I'm pretty critical of myself. So if I like it, then I like it. So I go on this whole thing about how, you know, in the end, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks, because they're going to think and say what they want regardless of what you do. So the point is to try and do it for yourself. I happen to like my hair this way. I'm going to wear it this way. And I'm not going to worry about what other people say or feel or think about it, because I'm here to please me. You know, and on some level, my husband, but predominantly me. So as I post this, there's a man on Instagram that chimes in, yeah, that's just not an attractive look at any age. Find something else. That's what he said to me. Find something else. Now, first of all, who does this guy think he is to come in and make a rude comment like that? And did he even read the post? Because my response to him was, fortunately, the whole point of the post was, I don't care what you think. I care what I think. And I like it. So, buzz off, Neil. These people just try to make you feel bad about yourself. And I don't know why. Why does he care? Maybe he does think it's unattractive. Why do you feel the need to tell me that? You don't even know me. So, people are just going to be mean for mean sake. So the next time somebody calls you a name, most of the time just don't even respond. But if they do hit a nerve, go back at them. You know? I, unfortunately, still am a cigarette smoker. I have quit. I have quit for a long time. I've gone back. I'm struggling. It's a problem. So a lot of people, not a lot of people, but a couple of people have made comments on some of my videos about, yeah, you really need to quit smoking. And you know what I say? I know. Took their power right away. I know. You're not going to make me feel bad by discovering the fact that I likely smoke. You're not telling me anything I don't know. You're not getting one up on me because you figured it out. I know. So, keep all of this in mind and remember that you are more than your weight. You are more than how you look on the outside. And this is something that I have to come to terms with because I have let societal pressure weigh on me for over 40 years. I don't ever remember a time not trying to lose weight. And I can't do it anymore because I've been just setting myself up to constantly fail. Because diets don't work. Not in the long run. You know, we all think, well, I'm just gonna, limit my eating until I lose 5 more pounds or until I lose these 20 pounds. And then I'll get more about being healthy and all of that kind of stuff. And that's the other thing, you know, they're changing the word diet to healthful wellness. They're trying to disguise it now. Now, I'm reading this book called Intuitive Eating. It's been out for 25 years, so it's got some staying power, this book. She says that diets literally do set you up to fail because you are not supposed to deprive yourself of your favorite foods. You're just not supposed to do that. And the more that you make them something that you absolutely cannot have, I absolutely cannot have a brownie, the more that you want it. Because that's how the mind works. Even from the time that you're a little kid. They did studies where they left a child alone in a room with M&Ms. And they said, you can eat only the brown ones, but you cannot eat the red ones. They leave the room, they come back, red ones are gone. Because you have now made it something that is so precious and so valuable that it's all you can think about. You have created an obsession over this food, be it a brownie, a red M&M, whatever your food is that you no longer allow yourself to enjoy. But I have to remember, and this is what I'm hoping to get across to you, is I am more than my weight. I am so much more than my weight. And so are you. You know, I've never really believed that. Not truly. It's why I've always put so much importance on my weight. That is the one consistent thing in my whole life. This struggle and battle with my weight. I'm tired. I'm tired of this war and battle constantly inside of me. Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night and refused to allow yourself a drink because you were afraid it was going to affect what the scale was going to say in the morning? I have done that. I have done that recently. I don't say that because I'm proud. I say that because that's the insanity that this has caused me in my life. I wanted to read a little bit about from this book, and it goes back to what I was talking about with limiting beliefs earlier and breaking through them. The one part in this book says, foods are often described in moralistic terms, independent of dieting. It doesn't matter if you're dieting or not. Foods are described, and this will sound familiar, decadent, sinful, tempting. All of the words of food fundamentalism and eating morality. She says we pay homage, that is, to dieting and its rules, but they don't work. Since we are a culture that worships the lean body, it easily becomes virtuous to eat foods associated with slimness and guiltlessness. It is no wonder that dieters have been found to think of food in terms of absence of guilt. And this is what they do to play on that. Food companies, magazines, social media, and commercials are capitalizing on consumer eating morality with examples like this. Oreo Thins. An ad depicts a regular-sized Oreo cookie with minus the guilt. Pop Chips ad promotes less guilt, more pleasure. And the title of a magazine article, something of 5 surprisingly healthy sin foods. Sin foods. So with these daily reminders, it becomes difficult to view eating as simply a normal, pleasurable activity. Rather, it becomes good or bad. With the societal food police chastising each blasphemous bite of food. All of these things are subliminal messages that are put in our head about how we should look, how we should be eating, and what that means for our lives. So, what I am doing is scaring the bejesus out of me because in the past, I have never been able to trust myself without restricting myself. And I am quite sure that I will put on weight during this change in my life. I'm hoping at most like 10 pounds. We'll see what happens. I don't know. But I have moved the scale out of the bathroom. And I will not be weighing myself every day anymore. I have no plans to weigh myself anytime in the near future. And, you know, I've gone a couple of days now with not denying myself things that I want to also what I'm doing is focusing more on the process of eating. That's an important part of this intuitive eating is tasting the food, having the texture and noticing the texture, the smell of the food, and to find as you are eating that full spot. As you're eating, you continually ask yourself, Okay, how do I feel? Do I feel satisfied? Am I still hungry? Do I know that I need to keep going? And intuitively, we should be able to, once we get this down, once it's something that's natural for us, to stop a little bit past satisfied, but before full. So as you're eating, you're constantly monitoring how you feel. And not only does this change my relationship with food, but it forces me to be present during the entire eating process, which is something that I haven't done in many, many years. I am what they call in the book, one of the many things that I am is an unconscious eater. I never sit down and eat a meal, not even with my husband. We're eating in front of the television. I am reading a book while I'm eating, or I'm on my phone. So I'm going to make a concerted effort to sit down at the table with nothing, which I think will be very difficult at first. I think that's going to be difficult for all of us because we're all so used to being entertained constantly, having our attention somewhere constantly. But this is what happens. It brings back the pleasure of eating. Because eating is supposed to be a pleasurable experience. Because if it's not, what are we doing? You want to enjoy your food. So sit down and enjoy it. Stop distracting yourself during the process. And it's easy for me to say that. I just admit it. I don't ever do that. But that's one of the things that I am attempting to change. So I will be talking about this for quite some time. And I invite you to not only follow along with me, but to join me. We can do this together. Say no. Say no to dieting. Say no to this war with yourself. And say yes to you. Say yes to who you truly are inside. Because that's what matters. And I have to convince myself of this. Because like I said, I have been obsessed with looking a certain way my entire life. And I don't want to do that anymore. So I hope you will join me and that we can go through this process together and support each other and be there for each other. Because life is too short. I've already spent 40 years in this war. I'm calling a truce. I am calling a truce. So, I'm also going to be doing lives in the morning on Instagram with some morning inspiration. So please follow me on Instagram if you are not already, which you can find me at _Hopefulist. If you go to my website, you can click right on the Instagram icon. It'll take you right to my Instagram page. Same with Facebook. Check out my website. It's brand new. I'm very excited about it. I'm very proud of it. And I do have some more tweaking to do. But a lot of things coming up. A lot of things that are going to be going on. Things that you can take part in. Things that you can follow along. And it's an exciting time. And I'm glad that you're here. And I appreciate you. And know that I do truly appreciate you, and I do truly want you to become the best version of yourself. We'll work on it all together. We're all a work in progress. So check out my website, and if you like this episode, please do me a favor, share it with your friends, post about it on social media, take a screenshot, or just share one of the posts that I make about the podcast. Make sure that you like and follow and or subscribe to the podcast. You will be notified whenever there is a new episode available, and I would just love you for that. So this is the beginning of the week. I don't know when you're listening to it, but it is the beginning of the week. So go on out there and kick some butt this week. I know you can do it. I'm cheering you on. Thank you for listening to The Hopefulist. Now, don't you feel good? Make sure you come back next week. See you then.